What's related to that February blast in Playa del Carmen. U.S. government employees now banned from traveling in the area. If you're traveling to Mexico, the U.S. State Department urges you to review their safety guides. You can find that link on our website, foxandfriends.com. Let's look at your headlines, Brian.
All right, get this. 2 Florida teens were arrested for getting high and taking a joyride in a stolen truck after police got a tip from one of their moms. Here's what she had to say about her decision.
I want him to take responsibility for his actions, and I want him to stay out of trouble, and I want him to turn his life around. And that's why I did what I did. I didn't have to think about it, and if he does it again, I'll call the cops again.
Wow. What do you think about that, parents? Would you call the cops on your kids if they're misbehaving like this? Here to debate is best-selling author of Your Kids Are Your Fault, Larry Winget, and Dr. Daniel Bober's here. He's a mental illness and addiction specialist. Larry, first off, good move for the mom?
Not a good move. It must be sad to have to admit to yourself that you're so inept as a parent that your only option is to call the police to come out and do your parenting for you. You have to think about the consequences. She said she wanted him to take responsibility and stay out of trouble. When she calls the police, there's a chance he'll go to jail, have a record, and get in some real trouble as a result of that. It's not a good option for her to do at this point.
Dr. Bober, she's obviously, we don't know the whole history of her, but obviously this is someone who lost control of her kid.
Larry, I totally disagree. You don't know anything about this mom. You don't know what she's been through. You don't know if this is something that's happened 7 times. She might be at the end of her rope. She may be at the point where she had no other choice, and sometimes the only way for the kids to get help is for them to actually get into the system and have it sanctioned by the court.
Does the system help, Larry?
Well, I love that. Get into the system. You know, they put him into the system, and we've just seen way too much evidence that when a kid gets into the system, he gets thrown in with some real criminals, and he can get in some real trouble, and he might get hurt, and he might be abused. So I would think long and hard before I would ever call the police. And remember, that a 17-year-old kid that is out of control was out of control at 17 months old. And the lesson for every parent out there is to get in control of your child and start to impose consequences so they learn good behavior from the very beginning.
You say, Dr. Bober, you say that unfortunately parents are reinforcing these bad behaviors and may not even be aware of it. In what respect?
Well, if you enable your child, if you keep, giving them what they want and you don't allow them to experience the natural consequences of their actions, you are reinforcing the behavior and you are, in a way, encouraging this type of a situation.
Right. Consequences. Larry, you're all about consequences. Isn't this the consequence you're talking about?
Well, natural consequences, and he and I agree on this. Absolutely. Consequences do drive behavior. I just think that there were some consequences that could have been imposed other than calling in law enforcement. What do you want law enforcement to do? It's not the job of the police to come to your house and say, little Johnny, you shouldn't be acting that way. You need to mind your mommy. You know better than that. That's not their job. Their job is to arrest people when they break the law. If you're ready for your child to be arrested and go to jail, and that's the consequence you want to impose, well, then make that your choice.
Dr. Bober, hopefully I'm not going to have to deal with this, but I would have to say I would never call the cops because in the system, they're not looking to give you a warm hug and rehabilitate you like if I went to your office, right?
I don't think it's the first step, but it may be a step in the process of other opportunities have failed.
The other thing that you worry about, Larry, is the single-parent families. They might be in a situation where you're working 2 or 3 jobs. And you know what? It's very hard to be a very good parent if you're not there and if you're leaving the food out for them to eat and you're coming home at 10 o'clock at night. What do you do in that situation?
Well, then you get some help from outside. You got to have friends or relatives or somebody else involved to make sure that you're doing a good job, still staying in control of your child. And if you have to do whatever it takes to make ends meet, I understand that. Remember, priorities, though, your kids should be your #1 priority. You have to be there to parent them regardless of what else is going on in your life.
Or else the state's going to raise them or jail them. Obviously, these kids stealing a car, I don't really know many people with that type of mindset. Larry Winget, Dr. Daniel Bober, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right.
My pleasure.
Next on our rundown, back to politics. Democratic Senator Kamala Harris says the Trump administration is giving ICE too much power.
ICE has a purpose. ICE has a role. ICE should exist. But let's not abuse the power.
Does acting director Tom Homan think about